Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Gentlemanly Things. We've had some amazing conversations recently. I'm going to get into another solo conversation with you guys today. Ahead of us in this episode, we have a great discussion about the difference of fashion versus style. I really want to make the distinction and show you maybe some insights into which one is right for you. Neither one is necessarily better or worse than the other. They just have differences to them. And we're going to explore how you might think about your wardrobe and the better way to focus what your personality is going to bring out through clothing. So enjoy this episode. This is another episode of The Gentlemanly Things. I'm your host, Brian Lipstein. This isn't a show about how to be a gentleman, but it's more about the art of living like one, where we explore this one conversation at a time. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you get all the notifications of when new episodes are released. Follow us on our social channels for more clips of behind the scenes and previews of what come out. So enjoy this episode. Here's the Gentlemanly Things. I'll see you on the other side. I'd like to welcome you back to another great episode here of The Gentlemanly Things. Today, I'm back on my own, but I'd like to just say a quick thank you to a few people who have joined the show recently. First of all, Luke Mays from Dormay gave us some really great insight into the world of fabrics, especially Fifth turning into its sixth generation family business headquartered out of Paris from the mill Dormay. Luke, you were awesome. And then Alex Weghorn. What can I say? We talked so long that we had to cut it into 2 episodes. The amount of information I learned about cigars and Davidoff as a company and the quality that they focus on and their history was just absolutely amazing. So thank you to both of those guests. We look forward to having more guests join us in the near future. I've got a couple great people lined up, and we're just waiting to coordinate their schedules so that we can get them on to record and film and bring to you guys some amazing content. Here we are, though, back with me today. And today I want to have a conversation with you about the difference between fashion and style. And this is a conversation I have quite often with clients in our showroom and other image consultants that we really kind of dive into what the differences are between them and how a gentleman is going to focus on whichever one he chooses. One isn't necessarily right or wrong. They just have differences to them. And I kind of want to explore those differences with you guys today. But before we do that, because of the feedback from the whiskey episode that I did, people wanted to kind of talk about a whiskey during each episode. So I thought, what better than to start with this whiskey that I have with me today. Let me grab it here. What I have here is a Maker's Mark bottle that I actually went to Maker's Mark and selected the secondary aging profile on. It's called the Maker's Mark Private Select Program. I was fortunate enough to do this with the Fittler Club back in January of 2020. We took a trip with some of the club members as well as some of the club staff, and Fittler Club wanted to make their own flavor profile. So the reason I chose this for today is because when we got these bottles made, I'm not sure if you can see here, but I had the opportunity to inscribe the bottle with a saying, and I picked the saying, the oil of conversation. And that's really what whiskey is. And so I thought, what better than to enjoy this one today to oil up this conversation about fashion and style. So give me a moment here. Let's get this going. We're going to have just a little bit of enjoyment today to have this conversation with each other. And cheers to you. As always, thank you for spending your valued time with me here, and a little bit of a sip here to get us started. So just a little story about Maker's Mark and this program, the Private Select program. Maker's Mark Private Select was put into place after they explored their first iteration away from the Maker's Mark classic profile. One of the founders was looking for a different expression, but he didn't want to venture too far from the signature Maker's Mark. So he looked into doing secondary aging. That eventually led to Maker's 46, which came about the naming of because it was actually the 46th iteration of different wood profiles that they would put into the barrel after the original Maker's Mark reached its final maturation that they would have done normally. And then they took it and they did a secondary aging by adding different wood staves into the barrel to let it age another 3 to 6 months or so. And in all of the testing of different wood profiles, they said, well, hey, we could make a program that would allow restaurants and liquor stores to come in and choose their combination of flavor profiles. So they have 5 different wood staves. You get to pick a combination of 10 staves out of those 5. So it might be 4 of one, 3 of another, 2 of another, etc., until you hit that 10. And then you build your flavor profile. So within the original Maker's Mark Private Select, there were 1,001 different combinations of flavors that you might come up with. And just to give you what we chose here, we ended up on, so this is called FC4 because it took us 4 iterations of tasting to really come up with the profile we wanted. And we ended up picking 3 seared French Cuvée staves, 3 Maker's Mark 46 staves, 1 roasted French mocha, and 3 toasted French spice. We picked 0 of the baked American pure. And those were the 5 available. They've since switched out one of those options for another. So now instead of 1,001 combinations, we now have another 1,001 combinations that could be made. But either way, a phenomenal whiskey. This one ended up with a little bit of spice on it. So we took the traditional Maker's Mark, which is a winter white wheat, and our red winter wheat, which is a little bit of a smoother, more approachable flavor profile. And we ended up putting in a little bit more spice to it. And it was a really fun process when we went through it. If you ever get the chance to do it, highly, highly recommend. The hospitality that they show you when you go through this program at Maker's Mark is incredible. You go into their private tasting room in their underground cave, and you get to sit and enjoy a morning of exploration and learning, as well as sipping and sampling different profiles until you come up with the one you want. Then you actually build your barrel, and you fill it with the staves you want, and then you fill it with the Maker's Mark whiskey from that. So we may pop up a few things on the screen from when we did it. We all got to sign the top of the barrel, and then about 3 or 4 months later, they take that out, they bottle it, and this bottle is one of 246 that came out of that program for us. Unfortunately, I'm not sharing a whiskey that you can go out and share with me today, but you can go out and look for Maker's Mark Private Select, and each one that you find is going to be slightly different. So I encourage you to try different ones and see which of those resonate with your palate and which one you enjoy the most. Today, it's oiling up our conversation here to talk about style versus fashion. And I often get this question, well, hey, what's in style right now? Actually, people say, yeah, what's in style right now? And I have to correct them. And I say, well, the question you just asked me really is what's in fashion right now. And the key distinction between these two terms is that fashion is driven from the top of the industry down to the consumer. So it's a designer determining, hey, I'm going to take these elements of design from one extreme to another, and we're going to determine that that's the look of the season. And then each season, that look is going to go ahead and switch or evolve. And fashion is cyclical. So if you think about this, bringing my economics background into the way I approach this and just being able to bring a visual to guys, if you think about fashion is like a sine curve. It's very cyclical. So it has a flow to it. And everybody says what's old is new again, right? You've heard that term. And that basically says that there's only so much that can change in terms of the options to create fashion. So when you're changing them, yes, they change season to season, but enough time goes by and eventually you're going to find that you come back into something that was popular 15, 20, 30 years ago because there's just so many options to change. Now, look at style on the other side of this. Style is built internally out, right? And when we talk about style, we're talking about how do we reflect somebody's personality. We're also talking about different elements that are natural to them. So their skin tone, the contrast that exists in their personal coloring. By that, we talk about, right, for me, I have dark hair, I have lighter skin, so I have higher contrast. Somebody that's a fair skin with light hair, whether it's blonde, red, strawberry blonde, right, they have low contrast. And so we look at how the personal contrast carries through the contrast of the outfit. And then we look at your body features and shapes of the body. And we want to balance those shapes within the body and make sure that everything looks very well put together and pleasing to the audience's eye. When we focus on style, it becomes a much better long-term investment that we're making in our wardrobe. We are wearing clothes that would look good 10 years ago, would look good today, will look good 10 years from now, and will always look good as long as we stay the same. Over time, our style will evolve. We may get more comfortable wearing more bold patterns. We may get comfortable wearing something that's a little bit trimmer fit. And that's natural for somebody who has never necessarily explored the world of custom where I live. They maybe didn't even know that those options existed, to have that better fit and to really see what something fitted can feel like. So with style, we're also able to reflect that authenticity that we love and is one of our core values. We can reflect that out because we can take every element of the design and base it around the person who's wearing it. Whereas if you're buying off the rack, typically you're buying fashion, right? What a store is going to stock in a ready-made garment, they've picked 6 months to a year in advance, and they're picking from designers who are going to continually change the look so that you have to come in and basically keep up, right? And so you're picking from that. And in doing so, you're typically going to sacrifice something that's going to align with your personality or your authenticity. And because of that, you maybe don't get that full authenticity when somebody looks at you and they kind of look at the way your mannerisms are and the body language you exude, and they say, well, that I kind of get two different feelings from what they have on and the way they act. Something doesn't feel like it's lining up. And because of that, they may not trust you as much. They may take more time to have to get to know you before they feel like they really want to do business with you. That's what I mean by the better longer term return on investment is to focus on style first. And the only true way is if you are exploring the world of custom. I kind of go back to my graph, right? I gave you the graph of fashion being cyclical like this. Well, the graph of style is going to be more of a flat line. And at some point, those two graphs, when you overlay them with each other, will intersect. And if you've ever gone shopping and thought, oh, great, I found something I love off the rack, typically you're in a fashion cycle that is more aligned to your style. But then 6 months to a year down the road, you try to go shopping again and you're just frustrated because you're not finding anything that suits what you like. And you just kind of have to settle for what's there because you've always thought maybe custom was out of your wheelhouse or unapproachable. And what you don't realize is that when you settle and you get a piece that you don't feel fully comfortable or confident in, and you only wear it those handful of times, it doesn't matter how expensive custom is or inexpensive what you bought off the rack is. What you have to really think about is the cost per wearing. One of my favorite sayings that I learned when I first became an image consultant was that the most expensive piece of clothing in your closet is probably the piece of clothing you bought on sale. So let me say that again. The most expensive piece of clothing in your closet is most likely the piece that you bought on sale. Now that seems counterintuitive, right? But when you think about it, if it's a sale, you're looking at it and probably saying, oh, that seems too good to pass up, right? And if it's too good to pass up, is it really the right purchase for you? Or did you make an impulse buy because the price drew you in as opposed to it being the right piece, right? And the saying starts to get at, Well, if you buy the wrong piece for the wrong reason, the wrong reason being it's on sale, right? You have a discount, but you've bought the wrong piece, and ultimately you don't wear it because you get home and something doesn't feel right about it. And then it just sits in the closet, right? And if it's sitting in the closet, it still has the price tag on it. You got no value out of it. So the value becomes more of a cost per wearing analysis. And if you had bought a piece 2 or 3 or 4 times more expensive, but you wear it 20 times more than that piece you bought on sale, well, the cost per wearing is actually less. And that's the true value that you're driving. So, right, if you're shopping off the rack, you need to be able to shop with a plan. And basically, if you're shopping off the rack, you're shopping fashion. And those fashion trends change from time to time. And I love this. I had a conversation just the other day. I was talking with image consultants from the Canada chapter of our international association. And somebody asked me the question. They said, well, hey, I'm working with MBAs and I'm working with law students who are just coming out of school. And they're all wearing these pants that are tight and above their ankle. And I said, well, really, if they're shopping off the rack, that was the old fashion. You're going to start to see that look start to change. We do follow fashion trends. We are aware of fashion trends at Henry Davidson. We choose to guide our clients away from them, again, more towards style. But to this point, right, as clothing got tighter, we went this fashion trend where clothing kind of shrunk down. We wanted a tighter and tighter fit. Well, with the pant length, as you tighten up the ankle, you have to shorten the length or it's going to puddle on the shoe. And so fashion really drove this idea of, shorter pants, maybe even above the shoe, showing off your ankle or your sock, where it does put a little bit more of a focus on the shoe. If you're a shoe person, that's great for you. But if you were wearing that look, let's say 2 years from now, because we're hitting that transition point now, but if you continue to wear that look 2 years from now and fashion has gone the other way, where it's starting to shift to is more of a baggier pant, actually almost to the other extreme, very baggy, not just well tailored. It's now you're wearing something that's out of fashion and you're sending the wrong message to your audience. So when you wear fashion, if it's gone out, you can't continue to wear it, or else the message you start to send to your audience is, hey, at one point I knew what was going on and I was on top of things, but I just don't keep up with it anymore. And if you're sending the message, I can't keep up, that's going to translate to everything else you're trying to tell somebody, except you've already made that first impression. And the first impression is I can't keep up. So now going down the road of, well, yes, I'm going to do the best work for you and I'm going to be on top of it. I don't know what to believe because what I see is the opposite of what you're telling me. Fashion becomes a very expensive hobby when you have to continually buy new pieces as the fashion changes, as the season changes. And if you want to invest in good quality at the same time, that's going to become very expensive. And you're not going to get the long-term ROI out of the clothing because you're going to limit the window in which you can wear it just naturally based on the cycle of what designers are going to do. Let's take the flip side of that and talk about style a little bit more, right? And I think you're seeing probably already where we're going with this. But I mentioned earlier, style, when you build around your personal style, it looked good 10 years ago. It'll look good 10 years from now. Certainly is going to look good today. And that is taking all of those elements where your personality can shine through. So number of buttons, the way that the jacket is going to fit for you, the lapel width, the vents in the back, all of those design elements change with fashion. But when you pick the right design elements that reflect who you are as a person, then you're going to be making that investment in clothing that you can build a wardrobe around as opposed to having to replace it. Going back to the pant length example, when we talk about a standard height gentleman, let's say around 5'10" to 6'2", the best look is to have, for the pant length, to have one clean break on the top of the shoe. So it's just touching the top of the shoe. The pant has a slight fold to it. When we make things custom, we actually are able to angle that hem to the back of the shoe so that it doesn't get caught on the shoe itself. And it gives a little bit more coverage without creating that bagginess around the ankle, which makes it look sloppy, right? And so when it sits correctly, when it drapes correctly, you show up just looking well put together, like you're paying attention to every single detail. And you're saying that through the way you present yourself in that first impression. So when you then deliver the message beyond that of, hey, I'm going to be on top of your work, I now believe that message because all of the way you've presented yourself supports that as well. And so when we build style, we actually build effective wardrobes. We're building something that we can keep in that wardrobe for a long time. We can take and focus on investing at a higher quality for that piece. And the higher the quality, the more longevity you get out of the garment. So when you spend more on clothing, it's actually built differently, and it's built to be worn harder. It's built to last you longer. And with those two elements combined, you're going to get much more value out of it because you don't have to worry, hey, I can only wear this for my special occasion. You can wear it any day you want to feel special. And then other people are going to respond to you when they see that reflection come out of the way you carry yourself and the posture and the body language you exude when you have that confidence, right? And so, the style versus fashion, think about what is your approach? Do you really like fashion? If you really like fashion, that's okay. You can certainly invest in it. You might have to spend a bit more time searching store to store to store to find the fashion or the size or the garment, the color, the pattern, the cut, the style of the garment that is more in tune with what you're looking for. But if you like style, you are going to find that certain times shopping in a store, you're going to be, you're going to have a lot of fun and you're going to find what you're looking for more right away. And then other times you're just going to be super frustrated because nothing that's available is really making you feel comfortable and confident in the way that you're presenting yourself. And in that case, this is one of the arguments we make for custom all the time is when you just approach it from a custom perspective, you are able to make everything you want for yourself. You're able to pick every little detail. You're going to get the exact construction and quality that you're looking for. You're going to get the fabric, color, and pattern and shading that you want. And you're going to design the elements of the design around what balance your body the best. And when I talk about elements of design, it's something like the width of the lapel. Right? So with fashion, we saw those lapel widths 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, very, very narrow. Now you're seeing the lapel widths come much wider again. Well, there's a proper balance to the lapel width that falls within your personal style. The best personal style, the best balance that can be created for you is to have the lapel dissect the shoulder. So from where the lapel opening is to the point of the lapel, and then the point of the lapel to the shoulder line, that should cover exactly half of the width of your chest there. And that's going to make you look balanced. When you go smaller, it actually makes your chest look bigger. And when the lapel width is wider, it's going to make you as an overall person look smaller. So depending on your frame and your body, you can affect the look of what you're going for by picking those elements of design. There's studies that show taller people are more often find themselves in leadership positions. And I'm going to say bigger people in general, not heavy people, but just bigger built people. So somebody that's maybe 6'2" and 200 to 210 pounds, mostly muscle in their frame, is generally going to be somebody that finds themselves correlated to more of a leadership position. And the part of what is behind that is just those people hold more presence, right? The bigger you are, the more space you take up, the more presence you hold, and the more presence you hold, the more influence you have. And so behind those studies, yes, there's been correlations to CEOs and their height. Behind those studies, though, the reasoning and the psychology behind it becomes, well, they're easier to see. They hold more influence in leadership. And because of that, they often tend to rise through the ranks to those leadership positions a little bit more easily and a little bit more quickly than maybe their counterparts that don't have that same stature. Now, is that fair? No, not necessarily. We can't affect our genes and our genome and how we're born and the way we grow, but that is just unfortunately the way of the world. And so, a guy that maybe has that 6'2" stature isn't as fit as the 210-ish guy, right? Maybe he's 6'2" and 240, 250 pounds and could stand to lose a little bit of weight. When you design custom, you can actually design the elements that will give the impression of him looking more like maybe 230 than 250. And that's where the fun of the design starts to come in. It's all about tricking the human eye. And the human eye can be tricked in many different ways. When you put colors next to one another, the eye can read colors differently. So when we look at fabrics, you might see one color come out if you wear a jacket with a white shirt, and you might see another color come out when you wear the jacket with a blue shirt. It's just going to be the way that our eye starts to perceive things in relation to what's around it. Same thing with line and design. When we talk about the lines of the design or the width of a lapel or the length of a pant, we can actually affect guys who want to look a certain way be just simply by designing it to create balance or imbalance in kind of the natural canvas, which is the body that we're working with. So that was a lot. Let me take a moment and pause. Let me oil up the next conversation here. Back to this is one of my favorite whiskeys, by the way, on my bar. I liked it so much the way that it came out. When the club had it, they allowed me to purchase actually an entire case. So I had 12 bottles of this whiskey. I've given a few away as gifts. I love to have something like this as a gift that is unique and something somebody couldn't buy for themselves. I have plenty of clients who can buy and do buy anything they want for themselves. And they're great clients for me, and I want to give them a gift, and the gift has to be meaningful. And this is something that doesn't have to be expensive, but it's by virtue of it's something that they can't get no matter how much money they spend, because it just doesn't exist anymore. It becomes a really meaningful and personal gift that I can give to them. And gifting is a whole nother topic we can get into on another episode. I want to keep the focus today on that style conversation that we've been having. And the last piece I kind of want to end with today is really starting to tee up the way you think about your own personal style. So I mentioned there's personality that style will reflect. And early on, I was fortunate enough in the image consulting industry to be asked by one of the founders of AICI, the Association of Image Consultants International, to help her rewrite her book. And this founder's name is Elise Parsons. Elise is an icon in the image industry, really a pioneer. Elise is, I think, in her 80s now, and she is still one of the most energetic and enthusiastic people that I come across when it comes to image. And she's just truly amazing. She's a great friend. Maybe we'll have her as a guest at some point down the road. But Elise created a system essentially called Universal Style. And it was originally created geared toward women. And then, so her first book was geared toward women. She wrote a second book geared toward men. And then she took the book she asked me to help her consult on, which was all about style, where she started to combine both men and women. And the help she asked me for was really kind of what are the details that fit into each of these personalities, from color to fit to pattern to the accessories that this personality might wear. And we worked with her and really kind of gave her the insights into the men's side of things, from watches to jewelry to whether it's a suit or a sport coat or something more relaxed in terms of maybe knitwear that would fit these personality styles. And so The system, what I want to outline as I close off here today with you, is called universal style. There are 7 different personality characteristics that will each have their own elements of design that will reflect their own style. And in future episodes, I'm going to get into these and break them down a little bit more for you. But today, just know that there are 7 categories. And with each person, you will probably see elements of 2, maybe 3 categories that reflect your own style. And you might be more of one category based on the situation you find yourself going into one day, and more of another category on another day based on those situations. And so when you really start to understand how your personality can reflect through the style, you start to understand the impact you can have by dressing with intentionality and paying attention to putting a strategy in place when you build your wardrobe. I want to get into those styles with you down the road. We're definitely going to talk about them in future episodes. Like I said, maybe Elise will come on and be a guest with us to give us a little bit more background into how she created this system. And this system has been around, and image consultants train within the system for at least the last 30 to probably closer to 40 years. It's tried and true, and it's based off of psychology and personality. So this is not fluff. It's really something that you can take. And when you start to identify your personalities, you'll start to understand your wardrobe better. You'll start to feel more authentic in it as well. So I'm going to close with that today. I'm going to say once again, cheers, sláinte. Well, this wouldn't be sláinte because we're drinking bourbon, so we don't want to bring the Gaelic of Scotch that we had before into this. So just good old American cheers. I hope you all enjoy this week. Tune back in next week. In the meantime, if you haven't caught past episodes, if you're new to the show, please subscribe to our social channels. Go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe below, and you'll be notified when new episodes are released so that you make sure you catch all of the style tips that are coming down the road, as well as the other gentlemanly conversations that we're going to be having. Today, we really focused more on the internal, the psychology, and this difference between fashion and style. So I appreciate you spending your time with me. Thank you for all the support so far and the gift of your time to spend with us. We'll see you next time. Take care.